Well, and that's the thing, right? If you ask an owner, "Hey, what's your EBITDA today?" Like,
Yeah,
if they know, right, then they're not doing their job,
yeah,
uh, right?
yeah.
Which is running their business. But on the other side of that, and I think this is what is really important, and what you're picking up on when you talk about making sure that the seller's exit ready, is that
Hmm.
on the buy side, a buyer and specifically their provider's job is A, to protect them, right?
Yeah.
Want to make sure that the contracts are drafted right so that if something goes wrong, the person that's paying is the seller, right? But more importantly, their job is also to poke holes in the target to figure out, okay, where can we potentially renegotiate? Where can we reduce the purchase price and still walk away with a great deal here? Because we know that, well, there's an issue with employee classification, or there's an issue with sales tax, and we'll say, cool, we'll take your company, but we're going to ask for a dollar for dollar reduction in the purchase price because you have, right, $500,000 worth of sales tax that's gone unpaid. Well, cool. Seller is now $500,000 less wealthy. Buyers walking out with a steal, and buyers happy, sellers disgruntled in the whole process. So if you can identify and make sure your company is bulletproof ahead of time, you don't run into those problems, and you're going to get a higher sales price because of it.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that comes to mind here is we talk about they're trying to poke holes. If you go buy not a new vehicle, but a new vehicle to you, a used vehicle, you want a Carfax, right? And that wasn't around.
Yeah,
You used to have to pay for that. There's no Carfaxes, but in M&A, you had to kind of build a Carfax out. You get this person to help you here, this person to help you here, and you kind of build out your own unique Carfax. But that doesn't exist. It's not like there's a business fax. You can just go buy and say, "Oh, cool, this is great. Never been wrecked." You got to go do all that work. So the buyer has to do all that work. You can't really um, subscribe to a platform and get that. And so, with that being said, if you think about going and buying a used vehicle, you would demand a Carfax. You would demand this. And so, if you're going to sell a car, you're going to probably, if you want to sell it, provide the Carfax, unless you've had a bunch of wrecks, and then you might want to hide it. But
right.
if it's a clean record, you want the Carfax. So it's the same kind of mentality, except that one tool that we all used just doesn't exist, right? And so, in this, we're saying, okay, hey, to make it bulletproof, if you will, you want to go through and to check as many of these boxes as you can as early as you can so that you know, okay, when I go to sell, they're going to ask about this, they're going to talk about this, they're going to want to know about this. And if you don't know they want to know that, you might be offended by it, right? You might be go, why are
Yeah,
you asking this
yeah.
question? And it's what they're supposed to do. It's what they're being advised to do.
Right, right. No, exactly. Well, and you, yeah, I chuckle a little bit because you said like we don't have that tool. We do. It's called due diligence, right? Um,
Okay, I
which
mean, you can't go buy it for like $49 off the
yeah,
internet.
no, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't go buy it for $49. Unfortunately, I wish we could. I wish we could. Um, but no, that is the point, right? Where if buyers are going to come in, and they're going to come in with being a little bit more savvy. And so they're going to come in and ask questions that sometimes might feel really personal. And if you as a seller are not prepared for those questions, exactly to your point, Ryan, like you might be offended. You're like, well, why are you asking that? Like, I'm not going to tell you that. But if instead, and this has always been my opinion, if you as a seller can come in and you are prepared for the sale, then you have everything ready. And when a buyer comes in and says, "Cool, we have 30 days for due diligence," right? Due diligence, for people that don't know, is just that process of looking through the business and looking on all the nooks and crannies to figure out, okay, like where are there potential issues? But if you as a seller can come in and be like, "Okay, here is everything that I have that I'm anticipating that you're asking for," right? Their due diligence process is going to be so much cleaner, so much quicker, right? And they're less likely to find problems because you're prepared. And what does that ultimately lend to? Well, it leads to an easier process, less legal fees, and more money in your pocket.
Okay. I got this from someone else, and it's in a book. I got to find which book it was so I can give the person credit. But
Yeah.
they advised, and I love this mentality that you, if you're an owner, every 90 days, you should consider if you're going to sell your business or not. And the point wasn't go through all this process of getting it ready to sell, but just that mentality of, I'm going to sell or not, I'm going to keep going or not. And if we go back with history over 6 years, a lot's changed, right? And I like that mentality
Yeah.
because, if you go, okay, hey, no, I don't want to sell, but if I were going to sell, I need to fix this. And so it kind of helps you make sure that you're always tweaking what you need to tweak. So if you do want to sell in the future, you're there.